Have you ever found yourself staring down a challenge with seemingly, well, no resources, only to discover that that exact constraint sparked your greatest idea?
Hmm.
That
hmm
feeling, of ingenuity born from scarcity, it's incredibly relatable, I think, and it's truly at the heart of our deep dive today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Welcome back to the deep dive, where we take a stack of compelling sources and really try to extract the most important nuggets of knowledge or insight, giving you a shortcut to being well informed.
hmm
Today, we're embarking on a fascinating deep dive into an academic paper. It's titled Frugal Innovation and Entrepreneurial Identity in Morocco, Strategies for Resilience in Resource-Constrained Contexts.
Right.
This study, from researchers Issa Marai and Mohamed Ramo, dives deep into how entrepreneurs in Morocco are not just surviving, but actually thriving. They're turning scarcity into success, building dynamic businesses, and creating profound social impact, often from the most unexpected places.
Yeah. And our mission today, really, is to unpack this meticulously researched paper. We want to pull out the most vital insights into how frugal innovation isn't just about, saving money or cutting corners. It's much deeper than that.
Right.
It's about a profound strategic mindset, really. A way of approaching problem solving and business creation that embraces limitations, sees them as fertile ground for, well, boundless creativity.
I like that framing fertile ground.
Exactly. We'll explore how these Moroccan entrepreneurs build remarkable resilience, how they drive significant growth and achieve real social impact, even when traditional resources are incredibly scarce. You're going to walk away from this deep dive, I think, with some powerful new perspectives on resourcefulness, adaptability, and the surprising, often counterintuitive power of doing more with less.
Okay, let's unpack this core concept then. Frugal innovation. When you hear doing more with less, you might immediately think of, I don't know, budget cuts or compromise, right?
Yeah, the negative connotations.
Exactly. But frugal innovation, as this paper brilliantly reveals, is far more radical and strategic. It's about leveraging scarcity not as a problem to be solved, but as the ultimate catalyst for ingenious, high-impact solutions.
That's the key shift in thinking.
It means intentionally reducing cost without compromising on essential quality or functionality. And often, this leads to products and services that are actually superior, more accessible, and sometimes even more effective than those developed with, limitless budgets.
Exactly right. This isn't about simply making cheap products. That's a common misconception. It's about fundamentally reimagining entire processes. It's about carefully selecting and repurposing materials, maybe things others overlook, and designing innovative distribution channels to deliver maximum value precisely where it's needed most.
So it's systemic.
It is. Think of it as ingenious problem solving under incredibly tight conditions where every single resource, every spare component, every human connection, every bit of local knowledge is maximized and leveraged.
Nothing wasted.
Nothing wasted. It's about stripping away unnecessary complexity, focusing on the essential functional core of a solution, and then finding the most efficient creative path to deliver it. This approach is rooted deeply in efficiency and, frankly, boundless creativity. It leads to solutions that are often simpler, more intuitive, and surprisingly robust.
What's truly fascinating here, and the paper really emphasizes this, is how crucial this concept becomes, especially in emerging markets. Because in these environments, financial constraints, infrastructural limitations, institutional hurdles, they aren't just challenges, they are defining characteristics of the operating landscape.
They're the norm.
Right. So traditional business models, the ones that often rely on heavy capital investment, robust global supply chains, established regulatory frameworks, they just aren't viable or sustainable sometimes. So what's the alternative path to economic growth?
Well, frugal innovation offers that alternative pathway. It's a model that doesn't rely on excessive consumption of natural resources or even financial resources. Instead, it's about leveraging what's already there. Local talent, existing materials, maybe overlooked materials, deeply ingrained community networks in incredibly smart and innovative ways.
Using the assets you have, not the ones you wish you had.
Precisely. And the paper highlights how this approach inherently fosters a profound sense of resilience. It allows businesses not only to operate under significant uncertainty, but also to maintain competitiveness by being incredibly lean, agile, and deeply rooted in the local context. It's a testament to human ingenuity when faced with limitations, transforming what might seem like insurmountable disadvantages into distinct and powerful competitive strengths. It's about building solutions that are inherently, you could say, anti-fragile, meaning they actually gain strength from unexpected shocks or volatility.
And the researchers, Arai and Ramo, they really break down the core principles that guide this kind of innovation. They give us a comprehensive framework to understand how it operates in practice. They identify several key dimensions. First up, affordability.
Right.
And this isn't just about cutting the price tag, is it? It's about engineering the product or service from the ground up to be inherently low cost while still delivering essential quality. It's about clever design choices, efficient resource allocation.
Absolutely. It's baked in from the start. Then there's simplicity. This principle emphasizes streamlining production processes and ruthlessly reducing any unnecessary complexity. I mean, if a component or a step doesn't add core value, it's eliminated.
Keep it lean.
Keep it lean, and this often results in more robust and user-friendly solutions because there's less to go wrong. Third, sustainability. Frugal innovation naturally prioritizes environmentally conscious approaches. It has to, in a way.
Because resources are scarce?
Exactly. This often connects directly to circular economy principles, where products and materials are kept in use for as long as possible, reducing waste and reliance on new, finite resources. The natural fit, you know. Resource scarcity often forces a focus on longevity, repairability, and extreme efficiency in material use.
And finally, scalability. This is crucial, isn't it? It's about ensuring that these innovative solutions can expand beyond their initial target markets.
Yeah, can it grow?
And sometimes this even leads to what's called reverse innovation, which is a fascinating idea.
It really is. Think about, say, a durable, low-cost medical diagnostic tool developed for a remote village clinic in Morocco. That same tool, precisely because of its simplicity, its robustness, its cost-effectiveness, might then be adapted and adopted for use in maybe a mobile clinic in a wealthier country, or even in a busy urban emergency room where speed and ease of use are paramount.
So the innovation flows uphill, so to speak.
Exactly. This comprehensive framework, affordability, simplicity, sustainability, scalability, helps us see how Moroccan entrepreneurs are not just adapting their business models. They're adopting incredibly low-cost technology, finding alternative funding mechanisms like community-based financing or microloans to make their visions a reality. It's a truly holistic and ingenious approach to innovation that really challenges traditional notions of growth.
So let's talk about Morocco specifically. The paper paints this picture of a truly dynamic yet often fragmented entrepreneurial landscape.
That's a good way to put it. Dynamic yet fragmented.
It's a place where entrepreneurs encounter this unique mix of significant challenges but also remarkable opportunities. On one hand, they face considerable regulatory barriers, right? Limited access to traditional finance from banks.
Very common, yeah.
And constantly evolving market demands that can be highly unpredictable. However, what's truly fascinating and where the paper really shines is the interplay between the formal and informal economic activities.
Right, the intersection is critical.
This dynamic environment creates unique opportunities for those who can ingeniously navigate it. Many of these entrepreneurs specifically leverage frugal innovation to bridge gaps that are systemic gaps in fundamental infrastructure, in crucial funding, in institutional support.
They're filling the voids.
Exactly. This often leads to the development of incredibly agile hybrid business models. These cleverly integrate digital tools, lean operations, strong social networks, and a deep grassroots knowledge of their local communities and their immediate needs. It's about leveraging every single advantage available, whether it's officially recognized or not, to build robust, community-embedded ventures.
Here's where it gets really interesting, as you said. The informal economy plays a central, absolute vital role in Morocco's business landscape. A significant percentage of entrepreneurs operate, at least initially, outside formal regulatory frameworks.
Which might sound precarious to some.
It might. But the paper details how this dual approach, integrating informal practices with the intention, often, of progressively formalizing as they grow, allows them to exploit incredible social capital, to harness deep local expertise, to utilize unconventional distribution channels to sustain their operations. It provides a level of flexibility and agility that formal structures often simply can't match, especially early on.
So it's not just about cutting costs, it's about leveraging relationships and local know-how.
Precisely. And this isn't just about survival in the face of constraints, though that's part of it. It's profoundly about fostering inclusive economic growth by engaging marginalized communities in underrepresented sectors of the economy.
How so?
Well, consider a small-scale artisan in a rural village. Operating informally initially allows them to use local materials, distribute through word-of-mouth networks, adapt quickly to local demand without the burden of complex paperwork or high setup costs. As they gain traction, they might progressively formalize, maybe register the business, get a bank account, but that initial informal flexibility is key.
It lowers the barrier to entry.
Massively. It's a bottom-up, organic approach that can reach segments of the population often overlooked by traditional economic models. It creates employment and empowers communities in ways that top-down initiatives often miss.
And that's why this context matters so much, isn't it? The Moroccan entrepreneurial ecosystem, despite its undeniable richness in talent and creativity, is heavily constrained. Factors like limited access to venture capital,
Scarce VC funding, yeah.
often stringent and slow regulatory processes, pervasive infrastructural shortcomings like, say, inconsistent internet access in rural areas, or underdeveloped transport networks. Given these systemic challenges, frugal innovation isn't just a choice for these entrepreneurs. It's a strategic, often essential response.
It's almost a necessity.
Right. It's what enables businesses to not only survive, but truly thrive despite these formidable obstacles. And this strategic imperative is particularly amplified, the paper notes, in the face of external shocks like global supply chain disruptions we've seen recently, or broader socio-political instability, which can have a disproportionate impact on small and medium-sized enterprises in the region.
Frugal innovation provides the agility and the deep local embeddedness needed to weather those storms. It acts as a crucial shock absorber.
Now, to truly understand the brilliance of these Moroccan entrepreneurs, the paper suggests we need to look beyond just the practical applications of frugal innovation and delve into the theoretical underpinnings, the why and how behind it all.
Right, the frameworks that help explain this phenomenon.
Have you ever seen someone not just survive in chaos, but truly thrive and build something incredible from it? That's the core of what the paper explores through sense-making theory.
Yes, Carl Weick's work, essentially.
Exactly. It's about how individuals and organizations create meaning and clarity from uncertain, ambiguous, or even chaotic situations. For Moroccan entrepreneurs, this cognitive process isn't just helpful, it's absolutely critical. It's what allows them to transform seemingly insurmountable constraints and crises into tangible opportunities for innovation and growth.
It's about interpretation, isn't it?
It is. It's about interpreting dynamic market conditions, making sense of rapidly shifting environments, and then proactively responding to challenges rather than being paralyzed by them.
That's right. The paper highlights how entrepreneurs in Morocco demonstrated remarkable cognitive agility during recent global crises like the COVID-19 pandemic or local tragedies such as the Al Hawuz earthquake. They actively engaged in sense-making by, for example, rapidly reassessing market needs.
It's like spotting a sudden demand.
Precisely. Suddenly identifying urgent demands for medical supplies like masks, even ventilators, and completely shifting their production lines. They leveraged digital transformation with incredible speed to remain operational despite physical restrictions and lockdowns, moving sales online, communicating with dispersed teams through simple messaging apps.
Adapting on the fly.
Totally. And crucially, they formed strategic partnerships, often informal ones built on existing trust, to access alternative resources and adapt quickly. Maybe sharing transport, pooling orders for raw materials.
So what does this all mean for us? What's the takeaway from sense-making?
It fundamentally highlights the paramount importance of cognitive flexibility and rapid decision-making in navigating today's turbulent and unpredictable business environments. It's about the ability to see problems not as dead ends, but as intricate puzzles to be solved with the resources you do have, rather than waiting for ideal conditions that might never come.
Okay, so if sense-making is about how these entrepreneurs think and adapt their mindset, let's turn our attention to how they actually structure their ventures to embody that flexibility. The paper details their masterful use of hybrid business models.
Yes, this is a really key structural element.
They are masterfully combining traditional and innovative approaches to maximize value creation and build resilience. This isn't a new concept in theory, maybe, but in the Moroccan context, it often means integrating informal business practices, leveraging those close-knit social networks we talked about, with more formal structures like official registrations or online platforms as they grow.
And digital transformation has acted as a powerful catalyst for this evolution, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. The paper really emphasizes that.
We're seeing sophisticated digital tools being adopted even by smaller ventures. AI-driven decision-making tools, for instance, maybe simple ones, are being used to analyze market trends and predict demand. This reduces operational costs and enhances market prediction in a way that was previously only available to large corporations.
Democratizing data analysis, kind of.
In a way, yes. And blockchain technology is offering alternative financing solutions through decentralized finance, or DeFi. Think about entrepreneurs who might otherwise be excluded from traditional banking systems due to lack of collateral or formal credit history.
So bypassing traditional banks?
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
Imagine being able to access microloans or crowdfunded capital through secure, transparent digital platforms. And of course, the widespread adoption of e-commerce platforms has enabled rapid scaling without the need for massive upfront infrastructure investment in physical storefronts or distribution centers.
You can reach a global market from a small workshop.
Theoretically, yes. This intersection creates entirely new pathways for economic inclusion, particularly vital in informal economies where traditional services are often inaccessible. But mobile phone penetration might be quite high.
The study also highlights another incredibly relevant theoretical framework, effectuation theory, developed by Sarah Saraswati.
Ah, another cornerstone for understanding entrepreneurship under uncertainty.
Right. This theory describes how expert entrepreneurs make decisions, particularly in highly uncertain environments. Instead of trying to predict the future outcomes, which is often impossible when resources are scarce and markets are volatile, they effectively leverage what they have in the present moment.
It flips the traditional planning model on its head.
Exactly. Moroccan entrepreneurs, the paper argues, exemplify these principles perfectly. They aren't waiting for perfect conditions or massive investment. They are building from where they are with what they have.
The paper outlines 5 core principles of effectuation, and you can really see them clearly reflected in how these Moroccan entrepreneurs operate. First, the bird-in-hand principle.
Meaning,
Starting with available resources immediately. Who you are, what you know, whom you know. For a Moroccan artisan, this might mean using family connections for initial seed money, leveraging a small workshop space they already own, focusing on a niche product they can craft with existing skills and local materials, rather than waiting for a large bank loan they might never get.
start with what's real right now.
Exactly. Second, affordable loss. They invest only what they can afford to lose. This isn't about calculating expected returns in the traditional sense. It's about defining the maximum acceptable downside.
Limiting risk.
Right. If an entrepreneur wants to test a new online delivery service, they might start with just a bicycle and a small local radius, risking only a minimal amount of personal savings. This allows for rapid experimentation without catastrophic financial risk if it doesn't pan out.
Okay, third.
Third, the lemonade principle. This is the classic idea of turning unexpected challenges or even failures into opportunities. When a supplier runs out of a key imported ingredient, a frugal entrepreneur might innovate by sourcing a local alternative. They not only solve the immediate problem, but potentially discover more sustainable and cost-effective local supply chain in the process.
Making the best of a bad situation actively.
Actively, yes. Fourth, the patchwork quilt principle. Entrepreneurs collaborate with multiple stakeholders, customers, suppliers, even competitors sometimes, to build robust business models.
Building alliances.
Precisely. This could involve co-creating products with early customers to ensure market fit, forming informal alliances with other small businesses for shared purchasing power, or even bartering services to conserve precious cash.
And the last one.
And finally, pilot in the plane. This means they focus on controlling the variables within their immediate reach, actively shaping the future through their actions, rather than trying to predict it. Instead of trying to predict the unpredictable global market, an entrepreneur might focus intensely on building a strong local customer base and direct sales channels that they can directly influence and manage.
Control what you can control.
Exactly. This iterative, flexible, resource-leveraging approach perfectly aligns with the essence of frugal innovation, making effectuation a powerful, explanatory framework for their success.
What's also fascinating here, and links back to the patchwork quilt idea, is how crucial relationships are. This brings us to stakeholder theory, often associated with Freeman.
Broadening the focus beyond just shareholders.
Right. This theory emphasizes that businesses must consider the interests of all stakeholders far beyond just the owners or investors. This includes employees, customers, suppliers, and the broader communities they operate within. In resource-constrained environments like Morocco, where traditional safety nets might be limited, trust and collaboration aren't just good practices. They are absolutely paramount for business sustainability.
There are survival mechanisms, often. That's spot on. The paper shows that Moroccan entrepreneurs heavily rely on community-based support systems because, frankly, formal institutions might not be able to provide all the necessary resources or support.
So the community steps in.
In many ways, yes. This might involve informal mentorship networks where experienced business owners guide newcomers, shared resources like access to equipment or common spaces, or even industry partnerships where businesses pool resources for training or collective marketing. These relationships are critical for enhancing their ventures. They provide vital resources, facilitate crucial knowledge exchange, and build a supportive ecosystem that ensures long-term success.
It's like building social capital.
It is building social capital. It's about building a web of mutual support that strengthens the entire operation, making it more resilient to individual shocks. For instance, a small textile entrepreneur might rely on a trusted network of local weavers for unique fabrics. That relationship, built on trust, can secure supply even when formal contracts might not exist or be easily enforceable.
Finally, the paper touches on creative class theory, developed by Richard Florida.
The geography of talent aspect.
Exactly. This theory highlights the idea that cities and regions with a high concentration of creative professionals, think artists, designers, technologists, and of course, entrepreneurs, tend to experience higher levels of innovation and economic growth. In Morocco, the paper identifies emerging creative hubs in cities like Casablanca, Marrakech, and Rabat.
These urban centers are becoming hotspots.
They are. These cities are actively fostering innovation-driven entrepreneurship by offering accessible co-working spaces, nurturing startup incubators, and hosting cultural events that really encourage cross-pollination and collaboration.
And these hubs act as vital crucibles for frugal innovation, don't they? Entrepreneurs operating within these vibrant hubs benefit immensely. They gain increased access to vital resources, maybe high-speed internet, shared prototyping equipment, things they might not be able to afford individually.
The infrastructure helps.
Definitely.
Yeah.
There are unparalleled networking opportunities, allowing for rapid knowledge transfer and the formation of those crucial patchwork quilt collaborations we just discussed. And critically, these hubs often offer pathways to global markets through shared expertise in digital marketing, logistics, international trade.
So concentration matters.
It demonstrates the power of cultural and social capital in fueling entrepreneurial success. It complements the frugal approach by providing an enriching environment for ideas to flourish, connections to be made, and innovative solutions to gain visibility far beyond local borders.
Okay, theory is great, but let's get concrete.
All right, let's ground this. The researchers in this study do exactly that. They ground their theoretical analysis in 3 incredibly compelling real-world case studies: Madness, Nextronics, and Abulfeth Hamza. These examples aren't just anecdotes. They meticulously demonstrate how different entrepreneurial strategies contribute to resilience, scalability, and sustainability in diverse contexts within Morocco.
They bring the ideas to life.
They really do. Each one offers unique insights into how frugal innovation operates in practice, moving beyond theory into tangible impact.
Let's start with Madness. What's their story?
Madness is a social innovation incubator. It powerfully illustrates the impact of community-driven initiatives. It's designed as an alternative ecosystem, intentionally leveraging informal networks, grassroots funding, and low-cost digital tools to support entrepreneurs developing solutions without necessarily relying on traditional formal financial systems.
So built for the context.
Exactly. Yeah. Mohammed Rama, one of the co-founders of Madness and also one of the researchers on this paper, highlighted a key challenge they faced. He stated something like, "The biggest challenge was to gain credibility. As an NGO, we wanted to be a hub for the community, rather than a business with monetary interests. This gave us more legitimacy."
So being nonprofit was strategic.
It sounds like it. It allowed us to establish ourselves as a true resource center for artists, technologists, and entrepreneurs. That really speaks volumes about their community-first approach and how they leverage their nonprofit status as a strategic asset.
And that legitimacy, that community focus, how did it translate into operations?
Well, it allowed them to truly embed themselves within the community, fostering a unique kind of resilience. Madness thrives by effectively mobilizing community support systems. They ensure their financial sustainability through diverse, often unconventional means. This includes things like crowdfunding campaigns that tap into local solidarity, impact investments from mission-aligned philanthropists securing international grants, NGO partnerships that align with their social objectives, patching together funding from different sources.
The patchwork quilt again.
Exactly. For example, they might host a community bake sale or a local art auction to raise initial funds, or partner with a global development organization for specific project funding. They also wisely utilize low-cost digital tools for mentorship and training, extending their reach without incurring massive overheads. Think using free video conferencing for remote workshops or shared online document spaces for collaborative project management.
very frugal tech use.
Absolutely.
Romo also shared an incredible story of how madness dramatically pivoted during the COVID-19 pandemic. This really stood out to me. He said, and this truly showcases the spirit of frugal innovation. We started with masks and ended with ventilators. It was about using our expertise in frugal innovation to respond to a national crisis with the resources available. Just imagine that level of agility, going from an incubator supporting creative projects to actually producing critical medical equipment like life-saving ventilators in a crisis.
That's sense-making and effectuation in action right there.
Right. That's resourcefulness personified. They identified an urgent national need, assessed their capabilities, their network, their know-how, and rapidly repurposed everything.
The impact of Madness's approach is tangible, according to the paper. They have successfully supported over 150 entrepreneurs, nurturing ventures that address local challenges with innovative, scalable solutions. And perhaps most impressively, they boast an 85% survival rate for these ventures beyond their first 2 years.
That's incredibly high.
It is, especially compared to typical startup survival rates in many markets. For you listening, this case study vividly illustrates several crucial lessons. Informal networks are absolutely vital for rapid resource mobilization and information sharing. Resourcefulness during crises can truly become a business's superpower, revealing latent capabilities. And deep community engagement isn't just, nice to have for society. It actively fosters long-term business sustainability and builds unparalleled credibility.
Okay, from a community-driven incubator, let's shift gears to a company that exemplifies radical business model reinvention. Our next case study is Nextronics.
Yes, a fascinating example of agility under pressure.
Truly. Originally, Nextronics was a technology hardware manufacturer. That typically implies complex global supply chains, significant capital investment, right?
Usually, yes.
Yeah.
Very capital intensive.
But they radically adapted during two major crises, the COVID-19 pandemic and the devastating Al-Haz earthquake. They completely shifted their focus from their original product line to essential medical device production and simultaneously embraced sustainable manufacturing practices. This wasn't a minor tweak, it was a complete high-stakes reinvention.
And it seems it paid off. Their strategic response was multifaceted and deeply embedded in frugal innovation principles. First, they implemented highly flexible manufacturing processes. Critically, they moved from being heavily import-dependent for components to relying overwhelmingly on local sourcing.
Cutting out global supply chain risks.
Exactly. This immediate pivot dramatically reduced their costs by an impressive 40%, the paper states, because they weren't dealing with international shipping delays, tariffs, or currency fluctuations anymore. They achieved this by actively identifying local suppliers for plastics, metal components, even specialized electronic parts, often mentoring these suppliers to meet their quality standards, building local capacity.
So strengthening the whole ecosystem.
In effect, yes. Second, they embraced technology-enabled adaptation. They implemented predictive analytics tools to accurately forecast demand for medical supplies. Using real-time data from hospitals and public health reports allowed them to produce precisely what was needed when it was needed. This minimized waste, optimized inventory, maximized efficiency, all vital for time-sensitive medical goods.
Smart use of data. And the third element.
Their third strategic move was a deep commitment to what the paper calls a sustainable reintegration approach, focusing on circular economy principles. This involved meticulously recycling electronic components from their previous manufacturing lines and even from discarded electronics collected locally.
Turning e-waste into resources.
Precisely. This not only reduced waste and their reliance on new virgin materials, but also created new revenue streams from recycled materials and significantly bolstered their image as an environmentally responsible company. It turned potential waste into a valuable resource.
And the impact. What were the results of this dramatic shift?
The impact of this crisis-induced innovation at Nextronics is truly remarkable, according to the findings. The company saw a staggering 50% revenue growth post-COVID compared to the pre-pandemic levels.
50% growth after a crisis. That's incredible.
It is. A crisis not only didn't sink them, it propelled them forward, cementing their position as a vital national player. This agility and strategic pivot also led to increased investor confidence. New funding opportunities emerged specifically because of their demonstrated resilience and sustainability initiatives. They even garnered government collaboration, positioning Nextronics as a key player in Moroccan industrial policy discussions, advising on supply chain resilience and local manufacturing.
So they became leaders.
Yes, And the paper even includes a sentiment trajectory analysis, visually demonstrating this profound positive shift in stakeholder perception. Over time, a clear increase in trust and positive mentions across media and government reports. For you, this highlights several crucial lessons. Crises can absolutely be powerful catalysts for innovation. Digital transformation isn't just buzzwords. It demonstrably drives scalability and efficiency. And sustainability itself becomes a clear competitive advantage, attracting both investors and crucial regulatory support.
Okay, our third case study is Abulfeth Hamza. This is a different kind of story, right? More digital native?
Yes, very much so. It's the inspiring story of a self-taught digital entrepreneur who built multiple successful online businesses from the ground up. He relied purely on bootstrap financing, no external investors initially, and leveraged the power of cloud-based platforms.
The ultimate lean startup, maybe?
You could say that, yeah. He embodies the spirit of frugal innovation in the digital age, proving you don't need a fancy degree or a Silicon Valley address to build a global business. Hamza himself had a wonderfully humble perspective on his journey. He said something like, "I didn't even know what being an entrepreneur meant. I was just doing what I loved, selling domain names, running servers. It was only later that I realized I had built a business."
Huh. That organic evolution speaks volumes about passionate, intuitive entrepreneurship, driven by curiosity and just solving problems.
It does. And he also noted, reflecting on the rapidly changing tech landscape, the hosting industry changes every year. If we don't adapt, we get left behind. My job now is to anticipate the next shift before it happens. That constant vigilance and forward thinking, combined with a lean approach, is a hallmark of his success.
So how did he scale? What were his strategies?
His success stems from a clear set of frugal yet highly effective strategies for scalability. As mentioned, he relied entirely on bootstrap financing, meticulously avoiding reliance on external funding.
So using his own money and revenues.
Yeah, exactly. Reinvesting profits back into the business. This allowed him to maintain full ownership, giving him complete control over strategy and enabling rapid decision-making without external pressures or needing to dilute equity. He adopted a lean startup model focused on rapid experimentation, iterative development, meaning he could test new online services or marketing campaigns with minimal investment, quickly pivot based on data, and optimize his offerings with minimal wasted resources.
Fail fast, learn quickly.
That kind of ethos, yes. And crucially, he achieved impressive global market penetration through highly efficient, low-cost digital strategies.
Like what specifically?
Things like leveraging SEO-driven marketing search engine optimization to rank high in search results for his services. This attracts organic traffic from around the world without paying for expensive ads. He utilized AI-powered automation for customer support and routine operational tasks, allowing him to manage a global client base with a relatively small team. And he built on robust e-commerce platforms that provided the infrastructure for online transactions and service delivery without needing a massive internal IT department.
Wow, all this from a self-taught background. The impact must be significant.
It really is. His businesses now generate over $2 million annually, according to the paper, with operations spanning multiple international markets, serving clients from diverse countries. Talk about an incredible return on ingenuity.
That's amazing.
And this wasn't achieved with massive venture capital or sprawling offices, but with strategic digital leveraging, relentless personal drive, and an acute understanding of how to maximize minimal resources. For you listening, Abulfeth Hamza's journey demonstrates the profound power of self-sufficiency in driving growth, the critical importance of agility in market adaptation, constantly anticipating shifts, and how low-cost cloud-based technology can truly be an incredible equalizer, enabling international scaling for even the leanest of startups, opening up global opportunities from virtually anywhere.
When you look at these three cases together, Madness, the community incubator, Nextronix, the hardware pivot, and Abulfeth Hamza, the digital bootstrap success, you can see these clear, recurring patterns in how frugal innovation is enacted, can't you?
Absolutely. Hybrid business models, blending formal and informal, deep digital adaptation, leveraging tech for efficiency and reach, and extensive stakeholder engagement building those networks are consistently critical drivers of success across all three, despite their differences. These elements form a powerful synergy. It proves that these aren't just isolated incidents, but rather reflect a repeatable set of principles for success in resource-constrained environments.
And the paper even compares their scalability potential, right?
Yes, it provides a comparative framework, which is insightful. Madness, with its community-driven, grassroots approach, shows high replicability across informal economies because its model is based on methodology and social capital rather than large physical assets. You could potentially replicate the model elsewhere.
Okay.
Nextronics, while demonstrating remarkable crisis adaptation, has a moderate scalability potential. Its growth is still somewhat dependent on physical manufacturing facilities and localized supply chain stability, which requires significant investment to duplicate in new locations.
Harder to copy and paste.
Right. But Abu Fath Hamza's digital model, powered by cloud-based automation and online platforms, exhibits very high scalability potential. That's due to its inherently low barriers to international expansion and its ability to serve millions of users with minimal marginal cost increases. It's a compelling look at the multifaceted nature of frugal innovation and its varied pathways to growth.
So, stepping back from the cases, what's the big picture takeaway on frugal innovation from this study?
Well, this deep dive into the research ultimately shows us that frugal innovation is far more than just cutting costs or being thrifty. That's too simplistic. It's a comprehensive approach rooted in strategic resourcefulness, profound adaptability, and increasingly a deep commitment to sustainability.
It's a mindset, almost.
It is. It's about cultivating an entrepreneurial mindset that sees constraints not as roadblocks, but as creative challenges to be overcome with ingenuity and focused effort. It's about understanding that limits don't have to limit potential. They can actually unlock it.
And the paper offers critical, actionable insights for various stakeholders looking to foster this kind of dynamic economic growth. For governments and institutions, for example.
Yes, the recommendations are quite clear. They suggest supporting hybrid regulatory frameworks, ones that intelligently integrate and legitimize both formal and informal entrepreneurial activities.
So not just cracking down on the informal.
No, acknowledging its role and creating pathways. Creating pathways for small, informal businesses to gradually formalize without overwhelming them with bureaucracy from day one. Recognizing the valuable role of the informal sector in job creation and community development, they also suggest actively encouraging alternative funding mechanisms, microfinance, impact investing, NGO partnerships to expand access to capital beyond traditional banking systems, which often exclude these types of ventures.
And infrastructure.
Crucially, yes, investing in digital infrastructure, things like affordable, reliable internet access, especially in rural areas, and readily available, localized AI-driven business support tools. This directly reduces barriers to digital entrepreneurship, leveling the playing field for many. It's not just about providing the tech, it's making it accessible and relevant.
Okay, and for entrepreneurs themselves, or aspiring innovators listening, what are the practical lessons?
The lessons from these Moroccan case studies are incredibly clear and practical, I think. First, leverage digital transformation to its fullest. Use cloud platforms, AI automation, e-commerce tools for cost-effective scaling and market reach, regardless of your physical location.
Embrace the tech.
Embrace the tech smartly. Second, don't shy away from building hybrid business models. Combine the agility and local knowledge of informal networks with formal structures to achieve greater financial sustainability and legitimacy as you grow. Use the best of both worlds.
And sustainability.
Yes. Third, truly emphasize sustainable innovation. Green technology and circular economy models aren't just buzzwords anymore. They can significantly improve your long-term business viability, attract conscious consumers, and even open doors to new funding opportunities from impact investors. It's becoming a competitive necessity.
What about investors and incubators? What should they take away?
For investors and incubators looking for high-impact opportunities, the message is equally clear. It's vital to prioritize frugal startups. They have a proven track record of driving high-impact solutions, even with limited resources, often achieving remarkable returns on investment relative to the capital deployed.
Look beyond the flashy pitches.
Perhaps, yes. Look at the resourcefulness. Encourage experimentation and pivoting. Support agile entrepreneurs who demonstrate the ability to adapt their business models quickly in response to market changes or crises. That resilience is valuable. And finally, actively develop strong local ecosystems. Through robust mentorship programs, peer-to-peer knowledge exchange, accessible co-working spaces, fostering the kind of collaborative environments where frugal innovation can truly flourish and scale.
Now, the study doesn't just analyze the present, it looks forward. The authors introduce a new model, right? The RISE model.
Yes, this is an exciting new framework they propose for future research.
Yeah.
The RISE model. It stands for Resilient, Interactive, Self-Organizing, and Emergent Ecosystem.
Okay, break that down. What's the core idea?
Well, RISE presents a compelling critique of traditional top-down entrepreneurial ecosystem research. That research often focuses solely on formal structures, government support, institutional interventions as the primary drivers of innovation.
The build it and they will come approach.
Sort of, yeah. While those are important, the RISE model proposes a more nuanced, bottom-up view of how entrepreneurial ecosystems truly emerge and evolve organically, especially in contexts where formal structures might be less developed or simply not tailored to the needs of grassroots entrepreneurs.
So it flips the perspective.
It really does. It challenges the conventional wisdom that you need heavy institutional support first to foster innovation. RISE is built on 4 core principles. First, resilient. Entrepreneurs within these ecosystems constantly create adaptive solutions in response to scarcity, institutional voids, market volatility. It's about building inherent strength from adversity.
Makes sense. Second.
Second, interactive, peer-to-peer knowledge exchange, informal mentorship, strong social support. These aren't just helpful. They are absolutely key drivers of business sustainability, collective learning, and problem-solving within the ecosystem.
The network effect.
Very much so. Third, self-organizing. These entrepreneurial ecosystems emerge organically, without the need for centralized control or heavy structured intervention. They grow from the ground up, fueled by shared needs, local ingenuity, voluntary collaboration. Think of online communities of creators or local artisan collectives forming without formal mandates.
Bottom-up emergence, and the last one.
And fourth, emergent. Business models, funding mechanisms, collaborations continuously evolve in real time within the ecosystem, often influenced by network effects and rapid digital platform adoption. Things change constantly based on interactions. The paper even suggests empirically testing the RISE model using the French ride-hailing industry as a case study, analyzing how independent drivers self-organize into informal networks, share information, adapt to regulatory shifts. It provides a clear example of self-organized entrepreneurship flourishing outside traditional structures.
That's a fascinating test case. So RISE really pushes us to see these ecosystems differently.
Exactly. It's a powerful conceptual leap. The RISE model provides a broader, more holistic lens to understand how entrepreneurs leverage limited resources and informal networks, not just as isolated individuals, but as an integral part of a dynamic, evolving system. It pushes us to consider how these self-organizing structures, born from necessity and ingenuity, will fundamentally shape emerging market economies and perhaps even established ones facing new constraints. It's about recognizing the organic intelligence and adaptive capacity within these communities.
A blueprint for sustainable growth, maybe?
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
A different kind of blueprint.
So wrapping this up, this deep dive into Moroccan entrepreneurship, illuminated by this fantastic research from RI and Ramo. What's the final word?
I think it powerfully underscores the transformative power of frugal innovation. It's a testament to how leveraging local resources, embracing digitalization, and skillfully navigating institutional challenges allows entrepreneurs to pioneer these adaptive business models. And these models offer invaluable insights, not just for Morocco, but for emerging markets and resource-constrained environments worldwide. It's a truly inspiring story of resilience, ingenuity, and profound impact, I feel.
It really is. And as global economic uncertainties persist and resources often feel constrained, even in traditionally wealthy markets, the lessons from Madness, Nextronics, and Abu Fath Hamza seem profoundly clear. Innovation isn't always about having more resources. It's often about making smarter, more creative, and more impactful use of the ones you already have.
Well said.
So as you reflect on your own challenges, your own context, what hidden frugal innovations are waiting for you to discover and leverage? Something to think about.
Definitely.
Thank you for diving deep with us today. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and above all, keep innovating.